what's up with y'all niggas, man? My name is Devin Wells, and fuck the motherfucking joke today. I don't got no joke at the beginning of the video for y'all today. I just want to get right into this shit. The biggest liar in comedy, and it's got Bert Kreischer on the front. Now, I have no clue what this video is about, but I'm really excited to get into this. Because, I mean, what did he lie about? I don't know what he lied about. It just says lies and alcohol on the thumbnail, so let's see. Let's get right. I'm ready to get right into this bitch. Nigga, I'm gonna get this reaction uploaded and edited because I'm excited. I got all types of content coming for y'all. So let's get right into this shit indubitably, nigga.
The story of somebody's audience turning on them seems to never get old, especially when people find the turn to be well-deserved. You have huge turns when somebody does something really bad, but more interesting ones tend to be the slow, gradual shift. And one of the best ongoing examples of that is once beloved comedian Bert Kreischer. Bert is a case study on how to slowly lose your audience through your own misgivings with a little help from social media. Constant lying, insincerity, and just generally being stale and annoying have left people sour about Bert. But his worst trait seems to be his inflated ego. Bert went from the drunk idiot who's still a lovable persona, even if he's a bit stupid, to the LA comedian who is better than you, contributes more to society than you, and is a full-blown alcoholic. Although maybe this might have been deep-rooted and we all saw it coming. This is Bert Kreischer. Born in St. Petersburg, Florida, near Tampa, he first came to the public eye when attending Florida State University in his 6th year. Yes, 6th year. Which was, at the time, considered the #1 party school in America, according to the Princeton Review. Rolling Stone picked up on this, and after discovering Bert, named him the #1 partier in the #1 party school in America, which is basically the valedictorian for frat guys. And this is where his name would skyrocket. See, Bert was already doing a bit of stand-up comedy here and there, but he would parlay this notoriety into big venues for stand-up comedy, acting, and even filmmaking, usually supplemented with his heavy drinking and lack of a shirt. After making connections through comedy and name value, Bert was doing stand-up at big venues. While not witty or capable of really writing a punchline, he was a good storyteller. Thus, he became very well known for his drunken, goofy antics. He even got signed to Will Smith's management company, all while still being the drunken frat bro who somehow had a story for everything, which just so happens to be better and cooler than your story. We call this a one-upper. He's the quintessential Mr. Me Too. You could tell him you had a dog growing up, and he'd tell you he had 2 dogs that were both sled dogs who found lost children on their spare time. It doesn't matter if the story's true as long as it's better than the other person's. Despite this, Bert was pretty innocent at the time. Sure, he would embellish stories, but that's pretty standard practice for a comedian. I'd go as far as to say he was pretty loved given his public TV appearances. He got in contact with Joe Rogan and through his podcast exposed himself to a wider audience. His storytelling would raise his stock through each JRE appearance. But there seems to be some stories where it's like, wait.
Your favorite primetime channels?
Motherfucker. Right. Get some ad blocker on this motherfucker. I'm sick of YouTube pimping all these goddamn ads and shit on.
Like how he claims he's seen 3 people get struck by lightning, which is a bit dubious as only 270 people in a country of over 330 million are struck by lightning each year. If somebody wants to do the math and find the chances on that, let me know. It's frustrating because some of his stories are true, although heavily exaggerated, which one could argue on stage is for comedic effect. But when Bert is swearing on his children that these are true, it makes you question them a bit. Is he exaggerating these stories to seem cool, for comedic effect, or both? The story he has about the kids with no tongues is clearly a lie, but at least it has some sort of punchline, intentional or not.
Growing up, I knew 2 dudes without tongues. That's Florida for you.
What?
2 dudes without tongues. Tongueless Brett and
How do they lose their tongues?
They never told me.
So we can forgive it. But the lightning one doesn't even have a punchline. It's just like, wow, I guess you've seen some crazy shit? Is the point of it? Now, it's important to understand the distinction here. There are some comedians who make up or exaggerate stories who are very funny, like Theo Von. But with him, the punchline is never, look how awesome I am, or look how crazy my life is. It's more of a setup to something clever, which Bert's are almost always not. There's Theo Von lies to make things funny, and there's Brendan Schaub lies to make yourself look cool. A crazy story becomes less funny when you realize it's not true. Bert tells his stories all the time on Joe Rogan, who's either very trusting or gullible depending on who you ask. Joe seems to believe all of Bert's stories no matter how crazy they are. And it's out of the question that Joe gave a platform for Bert to spew his, at best, embellished tales and at worst, bullshit stories. Bert once claimed that he was in a college band with Mark Tremonti of Creed and fired him because he was too good. Knowing the story was BS, Bert said if you asked Mark, he would deny it. Mark didn't really deny it, but just acted confused when confronted about it.
You're in a band. You ever have someone so good, you're like, oh, he's going to realize how bad I am.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I kicked him out. And he was like, I'm the best guy in the band. And I was like, yeah, and that's why we don't want you anymore. He started a band called Creed.
Oh, no way, Mark?
Mark Tremonti, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Wow. And by the way, if you ask him about it, he'll deny it. He goes, I don't know Bert Kreischer. And I think he still holds like a bone with it.
You know, this has been going around for years. No, I wasn't in a band. He said, I've read the story where I guess we were in a band together. And
he said he kicked you out.
He kicked me out. Yeah, no, I'd remember that. I've only been in a handful of bands in my entire life.
He said he kicked you out, and you turned around and said, "You know what? I'll start a better band," and that's where Creed came from. I think he's trying to take some credit for your success.
Yeah.
This
No. If they not sponsoring me, then fuck them. I'm not gonna show it. Sick motherfuckers.
Again, it's in the description. Thanks,
Click that
Atlas, for
link in the
sponsoring
description.
this video. Let's get back into it. However, Bert's most famous story is The Machine, which happens to be his nickname, based off a story about the time
Right.
Bert robbed a train with the Russian mafia.
I really
the
enjoy
long
that story,
story short
man.
is in high school, Bert went to Russia, met a bunch of Russian gangsters, accidentally introduced himself as The Machine, and acted as a sort of dancing monkey court jester for them. Of course, the story ends with Bert becoming buddies with the criminals and getting introduced to rival criminals as The Machine.
I understand you're the machine.
As you know, Russian gangsters are famous for their hospitality and sense of humor. The weird part about this story is some aspects of it seem to be true, but with Bert's embellishing in the past, it's impossible to tell which parts are real and which parts are figments of his imagination. Some of it is backed up, some of it not. Either way, this story became mega famous, leading to Bert naming his next special after the story. And they're even making a fucking movie about it. So Bert's star is certainly shining bright at this moment, and he knew it. Bert started becoming a Hollywood elite, at least in his eyes, while still having to live up to his frat boy drunken persona. But at this point, he's 50 years old. At what point does it go from stupid, funny, drunk guy to alcoholic? Bert doesn't seem to think it's at that point, though. Despite showing clear signs of alcohol dependency or, being an alcoholic, Bert is in complete denial about his problem.
And do you think that you're an alcoholic? Sugar.
Being powerless to alcohol is different than drinking a lot. I drank a lot yesterday, and I woke up in the middle of the night in a fucking sizzle. I mean, I was so hot, and all of a sudden my body went and fucking poured sweat. Back to sleep.
When people are telling him, hey, you're unhealthy, Bert's quickly on the defensive. This may be because of Bert's new status, which makes him think he's above everybody else. Him and co-host of the Two Bears, One Cave podcast, Tom Segura, received some pretty significant backlash from their audience after they constantly talked about how rich they are, their lifestyles, how they rode private jets, etc. To which they responded oh so classily.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. Oh, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the fuck out, okay? Like, don't make my life be a problem for your life.
To illustrate this, look at Bert when he realizes some random kid doesn't know who he is. He loves
Tom Segura. I can't quite put my finger on it, but he's giving off the vibe of he doesn't like poor people I can't quite put my finger on it, but he's giving off the vibe that he doesn't like poor people, and kinda a little bit, maybe a little smidget of racist. I can't quite put my finger on it, so I'm not gonna say for sure because I can't explain it. But those are kind of the vibes he be giving me a little bit. But let's get back into this shit.
He loves the celebrity, he loves the status, and he loves being the most likable person in the room, even if that is a part of his delusions. Bert seemingly must have realized that he's not witty enough to be a stand-up comedian, or he just didn't like doing it, so he decided to dive into the new age and attempt to go viral. After some failed vlog attempts, Bert had a couple of clips of him laughing go viral and pop off. These clips seemingly came more and more as they found success, with Bert even admitting so himself.
The way guys hunt, the way guys fish, I do that for laughs.
Yes.
I sit with my bait in the water waiting for a laugh. Waiting for a laugh, and I don't want to create it.
Many have speculated this laugh to be completely fake, and honestly, I'd have to agree. Look how quickly he switches up here.
Oh, you have one of the best Asian jokes ever that I heard 17 years ago. Wait, you really are Korean?
This combined with his inflated ego have led to a huge chunk of people starting to dislike him a bit, including Adam Sandler, where Bert embarrassed himself in front of the Sandman. It seems like Bert is always trying so hard to be the coolest guy, the most likable guy, the funniest guy in the room. And while it's not at Brendan Schaub levels, it's dang close. He's seemingly worn thin with mainstream Hollywood, so he sticks to his place where he can feel like an elite. The infested swamp that is the LA podcast scene. His lies or stretching of the truth, him being in denial about his health, his drunkenness, his lack of self-awareness, and just general persona, all of that is completely unchecked now. Bert is slowly losing the audience that once loved him so much. These people followed him because he was being himself. Heck, that's why he got famous in the first place. Now he's stuck. He's not in his 20s anymore. Being a drunk can be kind of funny at 21, less funny at 50. He's also clearly not authentic, as many people would claim he used to be, with his clips attempting to go viral. The only thing worse than him forcing this laugh for clicks is Brendan Schaub joining him on it. And trust me, if the Machine movie sucks, which is a very real possibility, I might add, Bert might lose his audience in a more rapid rate than he is now. I mean, why do people even watch Bert Kreischer anymore? People have probably all heard the Machine story, all of his tales from being a college frat guy who everyone loved. I mean, what's the point anymore? He's a 50-year-old guy with kids who actively gets drunk and lies about having a drug problem. He's also starting to epitomize the worst parts of Hollywood, minus the obvious. Fakeness, a superiority complex, and zero self-awareness.
A comic's brain is so different than a pedestrian's brain. And like what, you know, like I can't help. I went
Pedestrian is so funny, by the way.
Oh.
Like saying that drives me crazy. It's like, we're not in the fucking armed force. Let's fucking relax.
There's a lot of,
Any person on the street I respect more than even my favorite comic.
And with that note, I want to leave you with one of the most bullshit Bert Kreischer stories I've ever heard. Whereas some stories you could argue maybe happened to some extent, this one, there's no fucking chance. I'm sorry. As a Canadian, I will say there is no fucking chance that this happened, and you'll see what I mean.
When we went to Canada for the first time, you're not allowed to bring drugs into Canada, obviously.
Did you bring drugs into Canada?
I brought a little bit of drugs into Canada.
What'd you bring?
Just weed, a one-hitter. I brought a glass one-hitter.
Where was it?
I had it with me because it was the first time on a tour bus.
Did they have a dog?
No, so I said, what I'm gonna do, Leanne was with me, so was Jesus Trejo. And I said, it's my first time on a tour bus. I'm gonna have a cocktail, I'm gonna smoke this one-hitter, I'm gonna enjoy the tour bus. All of a sudden the doors open and they're like, we're at Borders, and I hadn't hit my one-hitter, so I fucking panicked. I run back to the bathroom. It's a brand new tour bus. I've never been on a tour bus. I don't know how lights work, I don't know how anything works. I just know I gotta clean out this one-hitter.
You gotta clean it out by smoking weed while you're at the border?
I gotta empty it and throw it in the garbage. I gotta get rid of it, I gotta flush it.
Right.
Drop the glass one-hitter, it shatters.
Okay.
I scramble. I can't figure out how to get lights on. I get the weed. I put it in the toilet. I literally doors are opening. And they're like, hey, Border Patrol, we're here to search the bus. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. The one thing Leanne said was, do not bring drugs into fucking Canada. So we go into the holding thing, and we're there for like an hour and a half at 2 in the fucking morning. an hour and a half we're waiting, and I'm like, I'm fucking busted. And the guy comes in and he goes, you guys are all good. And I was like, oh, thank God. So as we're walking to the bus, I'm still a little buzzed, and I'm feeling loose. And I go, hey, man, just out of curiosity, like, what would have happened if we had brought drugs into Canada? And he goes, you mean hypothetically, like, say someone had a glass one-hitter in their bathroom, shattered it, tried to throw it in the toilet, and didn't flush it? And immediately everyone looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, like that. And he go, I'd say it's an honor meeting the machine. Enjoy your tour in Canada.
Okay, yeah, that's a little, okay, yeah, that shit sounds very fake. Niggas ain't dick riding you like that, Pimpin'. Come on now, keep it all the way real. This video right here by the same person, is this Ghost Gum? Who is this? This is also Ghost Gum. So yeah, I gotta check out some more Ghost Gum videos, man. I gotta react to some more things on there. But yeah, man, that was a good video, man. Yeah, it's like a tough situation, man. I don't know what to say, man. I guess he's getting a little too full of himself. You know, he's not really being authentic, man. And those are two things that are valuable. And, you know, I can't really say whether he's lying for sure or not. I mean, you know, it do kind of sound like he not really telling 100% of the truth. But, man, I can't speak on that for real. Hope he fixes his alcohol problem. I hope he fixes his addiction to sugar. I hope he gets all his shit together. And I hope he learns some humility. He has to learn how to be able to check his own ego and bring himself back to reality, I guess. And I think once he learns all of those things, and, you know, I think his comedy, I think it will reflect in his comedy. I think the quality of his podcasting will increase. The quality of his comedy will increase. Just basically get all your shit in order. And just not be an asshole. You know, don't let that LA shit change you, man. Be you all the way. But yeah, man, that's it for this video. Link in the description for the original video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm out this hoe.